Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with a special live edition of the Sick Podcast Talking Titans. And even more special than that is all three of us are back together, which is the most important thing of all, because there's nothing better than the three amigos all together, and we don't have to fill spots and this, that, and the other. So without further ado, we got a big show to get into. Somebody's no longer with us, and we'll get into all of that and more. We're going to hopefully take some calls. Let's get right into it. Sammy, start me up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, 94 yards. Touchdown, Titans. He is the baddest man in the NFL, and he just took her to the house.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast.
Sick!
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Sick Podcast Talking Titans. I'm joined, as always, by my two counterparts, Jarett and Vin. First off, Vin, let's have a congratulations for him. He is tied the knot. His last days as a free man are officially gone. All right. Today begins the beginning of the rest of your life. Congratulations to Vin.
That's it. Yes, thank you. We have hopefully another future Titans fan cooking in the oven sometime soon. Who knows? I'll keep you guys updated as to that, but we are wasting no time. But it's nice to be back with you guys. A lot to talk about. So like Sal always says, let's get right into it.
Yeah, obviously the biggest news of the day, without question, is the departure of Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans, which we knew, obviously, once Pollard was signed, was going to happen, but we didn't know where. We heard about the rumors of the teams that were involved. He's going to Baltimore. That's it. Signed, sealed, delivered. He couldn't give a damn clearly about, rivals of teams that he was drafted by, and that's okay because, like I said earlier, it shouldn't matter to him. But the ass-kissing that's been going on from a lot of people in the fan days, in my humble opinion, is wild. But anyway, before we get into any of that, let's hear about the two of yours take on it. Jarett, I know Derrick Henry is definitely probably higher on the list than maybe the other two of us, even though he's very high for me. But what's your initial thoughts, and what do you think about the whole situation?
Obviously sad to see him go. I mean, I was shocked as hell that our first signing was Tony Pollard, but a very solid signing, I must say, and we'll get into that as well. But my Derrick Henry take right now is, he's gone. It's over. The 2,000 yards is over. The 9,000 yards is over. 90 touchdowns is over. Seeing 22 bulldozering people and stiff-arming people in the backfield in a two-tone blue is over. Sad to see him go. There was rumors that he was going to go to the Texans or the Ravens or even the Cowboys. I would have been really pissed if he went to the Texans. I tweeted it yesterday, too, that if he goes to the Ravens, it's just going to be a gut punch. It still is a gut punch to me. But you know what? So be it. I'm not as mad as you guys are. Don't get me wrong. I am mad. Trust me, I am mad. But it's a business. I understand the whole league. He wanted to play with probably Lamar Jackson for the longest time. There was rumors about that years ago. But he said he wanted to go to Baltimore to win. I do not see him winning at all in Baltimore because I don't see them getting over the hump with him at all. 30-year-old running back, his odds did not change. They were plus 900 without him, and with him now, they're plus 900 to win the Super Bowl again. So that needle mover of the running back position, it's not a needle mover anymore. So I'm on to bigger and better things now. I wish Derrick Henry all the best of luck. I loved all the memories with him. I have him all over my wall, signed jerseys, pictures with him, just like you guys do as well. So I'm not going to kill the guy at all. It was a great run with him, but I'm looking forward to the dynamic back in Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears now going forward because you can surround Will Levis now with talent and the both of them in the backfield where they both can catch the ball. Tony Pollard's coming off of back-to-back seasons in 22 and 23 with 55 receptions out of the backfield. So I'll let Vin tackle his Derrick Henry response and your Derrick Henry response before I get into stats and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, forever grateful for what he did for the franchise. I've often said that I haven't felt memories like that since the Eddie George days, the memories he created. Chris Johnson was great and all, but to me, the most fun I had as a Titans fan were those runs we had with him. There was a window to capitalize on that team with Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, that defense that was, Byron in prime. But it is what it is. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little annoyed that he went to the Ravens. It seems like a common thread for former Titans legend Steve McNair, Derek Mason, Samari Rolle, and now Derrick Henry. So it is what it is. I understand it's a business. The deal is essentially a 1-year deal for $9 million because that's the guaranteed money. But we will see what happens with him. I understand his willingness to want to play with Lamar. Pretty sure they're both from Florida. So they were probably, getting recruited a couple years apart in the state of Florida. So I'm sure they have wanted to play together for a while. And I think, not to talk about the Ratbirds too much or Derrick Henry, who's a part of the Ratbirds, but I think their situation was perfect for a player like Derrick Henry. A team that is so ready to win that all you might need is one or two more really good pieces to put you over the top. And I think that's what the Ravens provided for him. They're a team that is ready to win. They went to the AFC title game this year. They fell short, and they probably feel as though they're one or two pieces away. And Derrick Henry provides them with that. So forever grateful for what he did, the memories he created for myself, for you guys, for other Titans fans. But seeing him in that ugly purple is just going to be hard to see. And I'll never really, I retweeted Sal's tweet with the girl screaming in her phone. I thought that was funny. But as far as wishing ill on the man, I mean, listen, he's a human being with the family.
It was a joke, obviously. And it was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. That one actually, it annoyed me how much I laughed at that one.
Yeah.
But,
some
I'm not going to wish ill on the guy and say, oh, I hate him now, this, that, whatever.
Nope.
I'll always love Derrick Henry, but I'll always hate the Ratbirds.
Yeah.
Well. So,
like I said on the back of my porch, if I saw Derrick, first of all, I wouldn't be dumb enough. I don't think anyone should ever be dumb enough to try to check Derrick Henry on the street in any capacity.
No shot.
But just for sake of discussion, what I meant by it was like if I ever ran into Derrick Henry in a function, if I went to Nashville, I certainly in no way, shape, or form, and anytime soon, be like, you're a real fucking asshole for going to the Ravens. No. But as it pertains to being a fan of the football team, if you're going to do that, my friend, that's fine. But, I don't think the flowers are really necessary at this point. If you're going to do that, that's it. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think you're allowed to do it
a little bit too. I think he probably knew there was one or two teams where if he went there, he would ruffle some feathers with some Titans fans. But at the end of the day, I honestly don't think he gives a shit. I think he wants to win. He's going to make close to $10 million next year. He wants to further his legacy, and he probably feels the one thing he has not accomplished in this league because he went for 2,000. He's Offensive Player of the Year, first team multiple times, rushing champ. The only thing he doesn't have to his Heisman winner, the only thing he doesn't really have is that NFL, Super Bowl ring. So I feel as though that's probably the one piece he feels he's missing. And if he feels like this is the best way to get it, then good for him. But don't think that there's going to be some blind loyalty and that some Titans fans are going to root for you still. Absolutely not. I hope they go 0-17. I hope he does well. Nothing against him, but
I want him to do well.
I think the Ravens are. I hope the Ravens. I said it as a joke. I hope he stubs his toe every morning getting out of bed.
Yeah.
While in Baltimore. But that being said, I'm not going to wish injury on him, anything immature like that.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not going to root for the Ravens or anyway.
Absolutely not.
What I want people to start doing, if they can, because I've started doing it and it's been great, and we have to really come to an agreement as a fan base. Like we have to stop caring so much about individual players. Now, I'm already way, way too far deep on Will Levis. Pause, but you know what I mean, obviously. Rim shot, but you get where I'm going. My loyalty to him is already at ridiculous heights. But outside of that, that's only because we haven't had a legitimate star quarterback in 20 years. But we can't they don't give a shit about us. They don't. I'm sorry, guys. The one guy that I think actually kind of did, and I'll give him his flowers for it because, in my opinion, I think Terrell Lewan could have played more. And although he's got the podcast, he's doing great things, and he doesn't need the money. I think he really didn't want to play for any other team. I think he wanted to just be a Titan for life, and that's why he didn't really attempt too much to get into another team. So my respect for him went up a little bit. But these other guys like Saquon went to the biggest rival in the division.
Yeah, for real.
To Saquon's credit, Saquon is a Pennsylvania guy. He went to
He
Penn
is.
State. He probably grew up an Eagles fan, and the Giants were dog shit for a long time.
And still are.
Yeah,
Still
they
are, yeah.
I don't think, I've talked to some upset Giants fans. One of my best friends is a Giants fan. He's like, dude, I don't give a shit. He's like, he was hurt. He was
a
hurt.
lot of them do.
He was hurt. He was off and on the field. They played hardball with him for years, that front office, with getting him a long-term deal. He's from the Pennsylvania area. He went to Penn State. He probably grew up an Eagles fan. They gave him the money he wanted. People have to understand at the end of the day, I mean.
But that's my point.
Say you went to a competing company in your industry because they decided they were going to pay you the money you actually wanted. You know what I mean? You have to make a business decision for yourself, for your family. And at the end of the day, sports are going to drive kids and men crazy at all times, no matter what your age is. And, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that it is just a game and that these players have lives and, they need to support their families as well. So that Saquon thing, it didn't. I feel like if I was a Giants fan, it wouldn't have upset me all that much. I mean, they didn't do right by him at all. I probably shouldn't have even drafted him at 2. He grew up in PA, went to Penn State, got the money he finally wanted. And if the Giants wanted to keep him that bad, then they would have done everything they could 2 years ago.
Yeah, they would have never paid Danny Dimes.
So. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. It's like Derrick Henry didn't do anything wrong. And anybody who thinks that's what we're trying to say, that's not wouldn't be the first time somebody's taken anything any of us have said out of context. But with all that being said, my only point to this whole thing is stop getting emotionally attached to individuals because they do not give a shit. Honestly, about you or realistically your franchise once the time is done with them and the money that they have tied into your franchise. So, obviously Saquon didn't give a shit about anybody's feelings in the Giant fan base, and he shouldn't. But you obviously need to know as an individual that if that image you're looking, if you want to have that image in the tri-state area for the rest of your life, well, you got to know that if you go to this other team, it ain't going to be that way anymore. And there's plenty of Titan fans.
Unless he wins in Philly, and then he's a celebrity for the rest of his life.
Forget it. Yeah. No, listen, there's pros and cons with everything, of course, but it's the fans in our fan base that think that we're supposed to all do backflips and basically brown nose this guy because of what he's done for us in the past when he decided to go to our biggest outer division rival. Sorry, ain't going to be coming for me.
I would say they're our biggest rival in our franchise's history, in my opinion. I mean,
history is there's no more history longer than with Titans. Oilers, different story. You got Steelers and some other teams, but Titans wise, Baltimore. That's our longest. That's our longest rivalry, in my opinion. It's not even close.
How many playoffs? We probably played each other in the playoffs at least 4-5 times in the last 20 years.
And forget about all that. How about all the history of the players before him that went there? McNair, Mason. I mean,
Eddie George dislocating his shoulder in that playoff game and then coming back and running through Ray Lewis.
Yeah. That's hearsay and that's all but done. We said our wishes to Derrick Henry.
How about
we're here for the NFL free agency as my ring doorbell's going off on a live show right now, but we're here for NFL free agency. Let's talk about free agency, who we signed. Obviously, if you guys want to join in on the conversation, we have a phone number here that we're going to put up for you. It's 1-888-585-7425. So let's get into it. First initial reactions for Tony Pollard. When that came over as the first signing for the Tennessee Titans, what was your first initial reaction? Obviously, besides the Derrick Henry, we're moving on from Derrick Henry. What was your initial thought on Tony Pollard coming into the backfield?
Yeah, I was a little surprised, obviously. I didn't think he was going to be on our radar. I thought if we signed a running back, it was going to be one who's more of the bigger, more physical type to complement Tajay Spears' elusiveness in the backfield. That being said, I think Tony Pollard is a good player. I think Tony Pollard is 4 years younger than Derrick Henry, much more tread on the tires, about 1,300 less carries compared to Derrick Henry at this point in their careers. I think the direction of this offense is evident now. I think we're going to be a team that uses multiple backs that are good at similar things, catching the ball out of the backfield. And if you guys want to just take a look at how well Tony Pollard can run block, pass block, then go take a look, because a lot of you guys are, only barely ran for 1,000 yards twice. He broke his leg, this and that. Well, let me remind you, the first time he went for 1,000, Zeke was still on the team. This year, and then he broke his leg the last game of the season. He came back this year, still went for 1,000, averaged 5 yards a carry, and by the end of the season, it looked like he was a different player than he was at the beginning of the season, because I think he was finally recovered from that injury he had a year prior. I think him and Tajay are going to be a nice little, I don't know what the nickname we have for them, smash and dash.
No. God forbid.
Flash and dash, maybe.
Well, also, we don't want to deal with any infringement on rights.
Yeah,
as
no
well.
copyright.
There's a fan that has copyright of that.
Not smash and dash, flash and dash, maybe.
Yes.
But give more skill set. I think we can expect each of them to obviously some of them. One of them will get more carries one week than the other, depending on the game flow.
Exactly.
But I think we could expect them to both get 10 to 15 touches a game, via handoff, via catching the ball. But I'm excited for it. I want to see. Does anybody know the guaranteed money on that deal? Because
It's got to be most of it.
Because I see 3 for 24, and I want to see the guaranteed money after 2 years. I'm assuming it's probably more like a 2-year, $14 or $15 million deal.
I thought he should have got more than what he got from us. So I would assume that a lot of that money is guaranteed, but I could be wrong.
We'll see. We'll see.
Either way,
he's not going to carry a huge cap number, because I'm sure a lot of that will be signing bonus and whatnot. And we have a back to compliment Tajay, and I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't expecting the sign. I'll put it to you like this, so I stopped ranting. I wasn't expecting the sign, but when you look at it from an outsider's perspective in the big picture, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I said it on Twitter. You can't be upset that we got an and I think Tony Pollard is excellent, an excellent running back for good value. Just because we have a second-year player that we want to see with a bigger role, both can happen. Both of these guys can catch, and that's really what we're looking for the most moving forward with this offense is originality, duplicity, and having two guys that can do multiple things at running back is not a bad thing. That's a great problem to have. So I'm not upset about it at all. I'm thrilled about it. I think it really just puts a stamp on this new style because Pollard is shifty. Spears is shifty. Okay, this is no longer going to be 45 runs through the A gap every single week. No, that ain't happening no more. This is a new style, and we got a cat under center that is very versatile, and we're going to utilize them the best we can. And having a running back that can catch is what you want to do. Take a look at the Chiefs. They do it pretty well. So I'm stoked about it. And he's going to be 29 when the contract's over. I mean, where do I sign for that? I can't.
Yeah, I mean, they've been talking about speed this whole offseason. I mean, what's more speed in the backfield than Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears? I mean, it's a great compliment. And it's going to be game plan, like Vince said. Whoever has the hot hand, not even hot hand, it's game plan specific. So in 1 week, it'll be a Tajay a load. Then Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard thrived when Zeke was there. Obviously, he even said it too. So when the both of them complement each other, it's going to be great. And speaking of centers, like you said, centers, we signed a massive deal to a new center. The $2 Salisbury steak is out. We don't need to worry about that light ass no more. And Aaron Brewer, Lloyd Cushenberry, 4 years, $50 million, $26 million guaranteed, and he is 21 million, 12.5 million per year. So it's third most among centers. So it's a massive contract for a unbelievable pass blocking center. He graded out as per PFF a 76.4 pass blocking grade last year, which was third best among centers with a 2.3% pass rate too. So, I mean, the guy is an absolute stud in my opinion. I brought him up earlier on at the end of the season that I would probably target him because we needed an anchor at the center position. And what's better than getting a guy like this for Will Levis?
Yeah, I like Cushenberry. Go ahead, Vin.
Yeah, that was a great side. I'm happy we had it to the offensive line, but I still think all three of us and Titans fans in general are waiting for the shoe to drop. See what we do at receiver, what we do at the offensive tackle position, because that's really going to be indicative of what we do in the draft. Cushenberry, from what I see, I'm not going to lie and say, I followed him, throughout his career in Denver. He's more of a name we saw the last few weeks. Obviously, unless you're like, Jason Kelsey, there's really not many household names for the center position.
Yeah.
But looking at his numbers, seems to be as good as it gets when it comes to playing center, and we needed someone to anchor that offensive line. We've We failed to do that since Ben Jones has been out of here. So I'm glad we gave him his money. I think his cap hit's only going to be $6 million next year, so that is a very reasonable number. But I'm looking to see what we do elsewhere on the offensive line, if anything. But of course, I'm glad that was our second biggest move after Tony Pollard in free agencies. We got that deal done with Cushenberry, so hopefully he continues that level of play in Tennessee because he's got a brand new quarterback to protect.
Yeah, I think they're really working hard on this T. Higgins situation. I genuinely do. I really, really do. Now that it's out, that this guy's like, I don't think it's going to work, guys. It makes so much sense for them to try to get something for him rather than just getting him in there for this year, probably not having the effort at the level they want because he's not happy with everything. I think that Carthon and I mean, it just makes so much sense. I mean, every star that you want to have a line to have this guy on this team matches up. He's from the state. He's got connections to the fucking coach.
Wait, did you see the clip of him when free agency started at a high school basketball game that said Tennessee, like zoomed in on the fact that it said Tennessee?
That was him playing basketball in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was
everything just makes so much sense. You got the video that Jarett had with him with the interview. His face lit up like a fucking Christmas tree the second he asked it. They got to figure a way to get this done because if they can, then it's just so much easier to go into this draft to figure out a way to get Joe Alt, right? You already have your receiver now that's young that you're hopefully going to have locked in for a couple years. Now you got to figure out a way to get that general left tackle. If that means you got to trade next year's second rounder and, whatever you need to do to make sure he's the guy, because it looks like you cannot miss with him at left tackle. Then just like I said in Twitter today, you're not going to hear any complaints out of me till September if we can figure a way to get this done. And it looks obtainable. It really, really does.
Hey, write that down or clip that, guys, whoever's listening to that. With the complaints until September.
Until September.
Yeah, but you guys messed up my flow of what I wanted to do with the free agency since you brought up T. Higgins and trading and everything like that. So I'm gonna pause from the free agents real quick, and I'm gonna touch on that. Trade wise, there's a lot of rumors swirling right now with the Titans involved with Snead and possibly T. Higgins wanting out of Cincinnati. I was just combing through everything before the show started because I said if we did make a trade that had to impact one of those big time wide receivers, a big time cornerback, who if we had to trade somebody and what would be the pick that would we give up? Harold Landry comes right to the top of the list. $17.2 million this guy is owed next year. The highest paid Titan next year. So if we trade him with next year's second round and a fourth round draft pick this year for T. Higgins or a Snead, sign me up, man. Sign me up. Backload that contract. That contract. You have a fully loaded contract. Sign the $21 million for T. Higgins as the ring goes off again. Sign the $21 million and give T. Higgins on the book $6 million. He's making $27 million this year.
Everybody said Harold Landry had a great second half of the year. I thought it really didn't meet. Listen,
he did. I
don't remember it. I don't remember it, but I know the stats are there. So if that's the case.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a lot to remember for us last year, aside from the fact that we think we got our quarterback. But if you let go of someone like Landry, then you better have a contingency plan because that defensive line all of a sudden is looking thin. Autry gone to a division rival.
Chase Young taking a visit.
Young's taking a visit.
I'm not sure how much I'm willing to pay him either. To me, he might have a just Devion, all over again situation with him. Guy who's talented but likes to take plays off. We'll see. It's neither here nor there until we make a move for Snead, for Higgins. Buck Reesing really kind of got everyone excited today on his show where he said, there's a lot to the rumors behind L'Jarius Snead. And in my opinion, guys, I know it might not be popular. If we can have the option of one or the other, man, to have that dog at the cornerback position, man, knowing that we're at 7 and we can still probably draft O'Dunes or Neighbors. I mean, if we can have Snead and a Awuzie and McCreary, you're talking about a nasty physical secondary. Not to say I'd be upset if we got T. Higgins, but L'Jarius Snead is just one of those guys that we have never really had in our locker room going back to the earliest days of the Titans, man. Cortland Finnegan was a dog, but he wasn't as talented as L'Jarius Sneed. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Samari Rolle probably wasn't even that talented.
That's a ball right there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's always going to be curious to see what we give up. You have to assume that second-round pick's probably really what we're most willing to give up for either player. We'll see. Popular man up in Nutley, New Jersey, Jarett.
That's the kids in the backyard. What do you want me to do?
No, I think there's some deliveries going on over there.
Yeah.
Some flat screen TVs going in and out. All right. Anyway, listen, I love Snead. I think this cornerback we took from Cincinnati might hinder the chances of going after Snead too. I don't know. They might want to attack something in the draft. I don't know. I could be wrong. You can't have too much help in the secondary, obviously. But obviously, Snead is a dog. You want Snead in the locker room. But I do love the signing from the dude from Cincinnati, whose name I'm forgetting. Awuzie, yep.
It's going to be very fun to say. I love it.
Hey,
Shidadobi, Awuzie.
Hopefully, he makes those receivers Awuzie. So let's hope for good things from there. But I mean, I've really been happy with everything they've done so far. I think we're really going to fall in love with this Pollard signing too. I mean, he's so shifty. He's a great compliment to Tajay. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but they both play the great style. They both play the style of running back that we want on every down. You know what I mean? The guy that can get through tight spaces in the middle and can get outside for a check down in an instant. That's the guy we need because that's what wins in the NFL right now, and that's the style of offense that scores touchdowns. So you can't have too much of that. Plus, obviously, we know for almost certainty that we're not going to get an entire season, both of these guys being 100%. So having a 1A and a 1B is going to be something we're probably going to be really thankful for sometime in, November. You know what I mean? So, I'm pretty stoked. But, Sammy, you have any calls at all yet or just – I'm not sure. We got to see if we got anything.
Hit the hotline, 888-585-7425. Another free agent signing that we have over here, Kenneth Murray, 2 years, $15.5 million. We lost Al-Shaair to the Houston Texans, so immediately we go after another fast, athletic, former first-round draft pick in Murray. Just a couple quick things before we go here. I obviously had time today, so I was writing a couple things down. He's athletic as hell, very fast, plays like a safety in space in my eyes. Sideline to sideline guy. He's a great spy. He can make plays if he's kept clean and, obviously would not a blocker on like a big lineman. And very, very fast to the ball. His NFL comp coming out was Quan Alexander. Who was Quan Alexander? Former linebacker from the San Francisco 49ers. Who was there? Ran Carthon. So Ran Carthon kind of knows these guys. First round talent linebacker. I mean, you're getting him cheaper than Al-Shaair. Maybe you're giving him a shot. Who knows? But I still think we need to sign or get a dog because Gibbons didn't do it last year. You got this guy Murray coming in who's unproven. Realistically, this is a prove it kind of contract. We need that dog. I wanted Patrick Queen. He just went to the Steelers, so they better have another a guy lined up.
So one of my close friends is a Chargers fan. When it happened, he texted me. He was like, "Dude, he is fast as can be. He goes downhill in the run game. He is great, but he lacks a bit of intelligence. In the passing game, he is god awful." And then I saw what Mike Herndon said on Twitter a couple hours ago. Kenneth Murray is like if Azeez Al-Shaair were bigger and faster, but also had been partially blinded in a free chemical accident, simultaneously caused short-term memory loss. So it's kind of like a backhanded compliment where he's an athletic freak, and if you tell him, listen, run through the A gap and someone's going to be there for you to hit, he could do it. But there's areas of his game that need polishing, and we didn't give him any cheap deal. I mean, if he lives out the, eternity of that deal, it'll be $9 million a year. So hopefully he
signed 2 years, $15 million.
I thought it was 2 years up to 18 million, I think. Maybe that's 2.5 with incentives. Either way, you're paying $7-8 million a year. Hopefully they can bring the best out of him. I'm a big believer in our new defensive coordinator. But then I started scrolling through to see what a lot of Chargers fans said, and they kind of echoed that sentiment. He's big, he's fast, he's physical, he's good in the run game. There was a clip of him blowing up somebody.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I forget who it was, but We'll see. We need to replace Al-Shaair. That's another loss. I would have liked to have signed him. He seemed to be all over the place last year, sideline to sideline. But it is what it is. We'll see. We needed to sign somebody, in that linebacking group because we are extremely thin. I don't know what that was real quick. But, we'll see how that works out.
This is Derrick Henry. I think we have Derrick Henry on the line. Tell me to go fuck myself.
We got a call. Oh, Matt's on the line.
Matt, you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Welcome on the show, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate it. So I
Talk to
just
us.
want to chime in on the little bit of the trade rumors that's going on and everything. L'Jarius Sneed, he's definitely a lockdown corner. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the top 10 corners in the league. It'd be great to have him. But if I'm Rand, I don't think I can give up a second rounder for him. You know what I mean? Just where we don't have a whole lot of draft capital right now, giving up the second rounder is kind of the spot where we maybe need to trade back at that second round so we can pick up another third. But what I would do if they would do it, and there might be other teams offering more, so you never know, I would give up some draft capital for next year. I could maybe try to throw out a fourth rounder this year, maybe a second next year, see if they might bite on something like that. And then as far as T. Higgins goes, at the most I would try to do like a pick swap with the Bengals in the first round because I mean at number 7 it's likely that either Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze is going to be there, and they might have the potential to even be better than T. Higgins. It's hard for me to pass that up. Like that 7 spot is really, really valuable in my opinion. So while I would love to have T or L'Jarius Sneed, it just seems like right now the cost to get either one of them might be a little too steep.
Matt, I gotta agree with you on that since you just said that you would go with a second next year and a fourth this year. If you did have to package that, I would spice it up. If that's not enough, I would throw a player in. I mentioned Harold Landry before, but the T. Higgins thing, if we don't trade for him this year and let him play out this contract with the tag with Cincinnati, damn well next year he's a free agent and we're going to go after him hard. So if we don't trade for him and we do the pick swap and we get the Neighbors this year, Hopkins is gone and you just sign T. So if you have a Neighbors and Rome and then you insert T. Higgins next year, I mean, problem solved in my opinion right there.
Yeah, I listen. Odunze and Hopkins, and then you throw Traylon Burks in there for a wild card. If they think they can get Odunze at 7, then we'll figure out. Then I think we can manage to get a left tackle in some capacity until next year because I love Rome a lot. But yeah, no, that's great. That's a great point, Matt. Obviously, whatever capital we have to spend to get these guys, it's a catch-22. You got to give to get, and you got to decide what you value more. Do you value your scouts and the players that are coming out of this draft that are young, or do you value what's already on tape in the NFL at whatever age these guys are that you're going after? So we just got to have faith in management that they're gonna pick the right players at each spot for each position.
I had said something similar.
I think Rand's done a pretty good job so far with the picks that we've had. I don't know that I love the Kenneth Murray pickup or signing, especially for the money. When I just seen Patrick Queen sign for 3 years, $41 million. I mean, that was only like $4 more million than what we're paying Kenneth Murray. So I wasn't, super stoked about that. But hopefully, I don't know, Denard Wilson's got a plan. You know what I mean? They have a reason for doing what they're doing. Maybe it just was a lack of a scheme fit with Brandon Staley in L.A., but that was the only one that I wasn't really happy about. I know a lot of people was down on the Pollard signing. I actually like that signing quite a bit. I mean, in today's league, you need to have a two-headed, backfield. You can't just have one bell cow guy and picking in the draft to have someone replace him. I wasn't, really, really high on that either. I would have been okay with like a Zach Moss signing or something like that behind Tajay, but getting Pollard at $8 million a year, and I don't even know if the guaranteed monies came out yet or not. It might be less than that. So I think that was a pretty solid signing.
Absolutely.
But
and I agree with you. I had a conversation about the wide receiver situation. I kind of echoed what you had said. You said, I almost kind of would rather take one of these younger guys that you're going to get for pennies on the dollar for the next 4 years, as opposed to giving, someone like T. Higgins, who has missed probably 5 or 6 games the last couple of years due to injury, close to $20 million a year. I wouldn't be mad if they got it, but if you really believe in O'Dunes or Neighbors and you think that, for the next 4 years, they could be just as good, if not better, at a fraction of the price, but it's like Sal said, it all depends what they value, the proven commodity, the potential in one of these young guys, but, we'll see. I think we're just waiting for that shoe to drop at the receiver position in free agency, as well as the offensive line, because right now, I mean, nothing that we have done basically gives us a better idea of what we're doing in the draft yet.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on – go ahead, Matt.
I didn't mean to cut y'all off. Y'all go ahead.
No, I said just to keep talking about the L'Jarius Sneed situation. Per 104.5 The Zone on Sneed, they said the buzz around Sneed and the Titans has never been louder before. So to me, that screams like they're trading for this guy.
If they do, that's an excellent signing. And I'm telling you, if they get Sneed too, then they should compete this year. They really should. I mean, they got to get a little bit more protection for 8, and if they can, I mean, they're going to probably get one of these 2 receivers at 7, hopefully. And this ain't going to be no damn rebuild year. Hell no. We got a kid who's got half a season under his belt. We're going. We're moving.
Yeah, you got to compete with Houston, man, because Houston's just getting firepower after firepower right now, and they're loading up too on the defense. But it's very important. I forgot who said it too, and it was said this week too. The back end of the defense is just as important as the front end. So if you get 2 bona fide studs at the cornerback position, and this guy likes to play man-in-your-face football, I mean, what's better than that to keep C.J. Stroud on the sideline too?
Absolutely, Matt. Anything you want to add before we let you go, my friend?
Yeah, just one more thing. What do y'all feel like a signing, like if we're not going to be able to get like an all in the first round? Because I think I'm leaning towards receiver. I just feel like with one of those weapons, between Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, if they're there at 7 and all there at 7, I'm taking one of Rome or Malik. Personally, I'm higher on Malik. I just think that my comp is Antonio Brown. I just feel like his change of direction and the way he's so fast and fluent out of his breaks, and he's done it at a high level against SEC competition. I mean, I love Malik, but I wouldn't be unhappy if we got Rome either. But what about like signing a tackle like Tyron Smith? I mean, I know he's had some injury concerns and stuff like that, but when healthy, I mean, he's one of the top tackles in the league. Maybe you get him on a 2-year deal, to kind of fill in the gaps there for a couple of years to protect the blind sign for Will. And then, let's say we end up with Rome or Malik and maybe sign a Hollywood Brown. I mean, you're coming into the league with, coming into the new year with DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and Rome or Malik. And then you got your blind side protected. You got Cushenberry in the center. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, listen, we can't be mad at any tackle we might bring in that has some sort of history in the league of being a good player. So Tyron Smith, I'd like to probably go a little younger, or maybe someone who's been on the field a little bit longer. I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to how you feel about the draft. To me, if you can get Alt, who are they are comparing to Joe Thomas. I saw someone compare him to Jonathan Ogden. If you can get him and he could be the best tackle in the league for a decade, I always said a quarterback with a little bit of time can make an average receiver look like a really good one. And if you give Will Levis, someone who has all the arm talent in the world, a little bit of time, I don't think you need an upper echelon type receiver. That as long as you have someone like a DeAndre Hopkins on your team, a few other players, I guess, that I can't think of off the top of my head. But if you can surround him with just average players at the receiver position, but give him time to throw, I mean, you can make an average receiver look really good if you can give your quarterback enough time to throw. So
yeah,
absolutely. I wouldn't be mad at Neighbors or O'Dunes, but to me, if Alt is there, I mean, friend of the show, Teron Davenport, has said he would run to the podium to go take him. So we'll see.
This, with us having Bill Callahan, who is one of the best offensive line coaches ever, does that come into play with how you choose at 7? Because I mean, let's say all things are equal, you can have let's say 8-time Pro Bowl left tackle or an 8-time Pro Bowl wide receiver, like an all-time great receiver or an all-time great left tackle. Like, to me, I think you kind of got to take the receiver. I mean, the name of the game is scoring points. And if you can get a serviceable guy at left tackle like a Tyron Smith, or maybe go a little younger if there's somebody out there. I mean, the free agent market's not great for left tackles right now. But, you know, if you can get somebody in maybe the second round or in the draft or just whatever, and you got Bill Callahan coaching them up, I don't know. I kind of lean towards receiver.
I'm 1,000% with you on that, because now that you have Bill Callahan, and Brian Callahan already said that, how football games is you got to score points. Once we had that signing, now I see that we can develop players at the line position. Now it's such a deep line class. If you get the difference maker at 7 with Rome or Malik, or God forbid Harrison Jr. falls, if these quarterbacks are going to start climbing up the draft board, and the Raiders and not the Falcons, the Vikings need a quarterback. They're going to start jumping, to get to the Charger spot if they trade out. If you go one of those wide receivers over there, Patrick Paul could be still sitting there from Houston at 38, and there's your left tackle position right there. Okay, you have Donovan Smith still out there. You talked about Tyron Smith. You still have Donovan Smith, the Kansas City tackle, who's still out there too. So I think that wave is going to be coming maybe later this week. Who knows by the end of this? I mean, we were hoping for another signing as we're still on the show right now, but who knows? By the time we go to bed, there may be another signing, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, or a trade. Yeah. So
we'll see. Matt, so thanks so much for the call, my friend. We appreciate you very much. You have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate y'all having me on, man. Great show, man. Big fan. Hope we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to having you on again. Thanks so much, Matt. Listen, the bottom line is this, guys. There's really no bad way to go about this, because like I said on earlier shows, right? So our MO in previous drafts was we have a quarterback that's good if everything is in place, that's perfect for him, the protection, the weapons, and everything's got to be perfect, and he can succeed. We're in a situation now, like I've said before, where I think we have a guy that's versatile enough that if you give him average NFL protection, okay, I'm not talking about 8 seconds an attempt, but, the average I think is 2.8 or something like that. He's going to be successful to either get the ball down the field or escape any pressure and figure out a way to make a play. So with that being said, I think you got to give the edge slightly to receiver. Now, I've been on record saying I'm all in on Joe Alt, and I still am, because he is supposed to be a guy that you're going to have for a decade. And he's a guy that's supposed to be damn near a Hall of Famer coming right out of college. Now, I know that's the kiss of death, but there's all the tape there. You see the size, the weight. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to not succeed in this league. So that's why I give the edge to him. But, you can't go wrong here. You can either try to lock in Levis's protection for the next 10 years, or you can give him what everyone believes could be generational talent at receiver that has a ton of speed. I love the comp to Antonio Brown for Neighbors. Hopefully, mentally, he's not comparable to Antonio Brown, but everything else is fine. Again, I didn't love his interviews beyond that stupid one with him asking his favorite color and you're going to the Titans. He just didn't seem to have a competitive edge in any of the interviews that I watched of him, but obviously that doesn't really matter. If you perform on Sundays, you could look like the biggest freaking mope on earth. I don't care. Just perform. But Rome, I think, is just absolutely 5 stars across the board on everything: personality, work ethic, size, speed, everything. So if it's all or a Dunze, I'm going to be going to bed real happy in a couple weeks, and we'll have to see. But that's it,
Absolutely. I mean, just to see what's left, guys. Titans are looking into DJ Reader with the Lions too as well. We lost Autry. I mean, what's better than a big, huge guy that's going to demand two guys for blocking to free up Jeffrey Simmons and some other guys that are still out there. Armstead, Justin Simmons, obviously all pro safety. You guys are starting to see these safeties now coming off the board. I was talking to my brother-in-law on vacation. You saw the running backs get plugged last year. Now all of a sudden you saw the safeties getting plugged last year. You're paying 4 premium positions in the NFL, and I think everyone's starting to see that now. You're paying quarterback, you're paying wide receiver, you're paying the tackle, and you're paying the edge / D-line. That's it. Everyone else is replaceable. So these safeties that are making $19 million, $17 million, they're getting cut. They're all pros, but they're getting cut. They're not signing that 5-year contract no more. They're going to sign that 2-year to 3-year contract. So if we can get a guy like Justin Simmons in here for a 2-year deal, $20 million.
Justin Simmons went to Philly, no?
Who?
I think Justin Simmons signed with Philly.
As recently? Because before the show, he did not. And also the Titans are also interested in trading for Josh Sweat, the Eagles edge too. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, Levante David, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who has ties with Wilson, our defensive coordinator. He's still out there. Devin White, Calvin Ridley's in between the Patriots and Jaguars, supposedly. Don't know how you guys feel about that. And Xavier Howard. If we miss out on Snead, Xavier Howard's still there. Another all-pro cornerback. Kendall Fuller, who also has ties with our DB coach. So I mean, there's a lot of great guys still out there on day 2, and we didn't even get to Wednesday yet, where everything's actually official. So,
I got
a feeling.
There's
still a lot of hope.
Yeah, I got to feel. Here's another reason why I'm very confident in this regime. I don't, I heard it too many times before when it was Vrabel and Robinson about, it's got to be a Vrabel guy. It's got to be, a J-Rob guy, right? It shouldn't have to be anymore, guys. Okay, as long as we're not hiring, wife-beaten murderers. Okay, who gives a flying shit how these guys are, whether they walk around wearing diamonds or they, whatever the fuck they do, it doesn't matter. We want to win a championship. And I think that's what Amy Adams Strunk wants too. And that's why she was so anal about the decisions she made and how rapid they were, because, we're not getting any younger, guys. We all want to see a championship before we die or parents die,
Oh God,
and enough is enough. Enough is a fucking enough. So I don't care what kind of personality you are. If you show up to work on Sundays and you want to take a motherfucker's head off, whether that be on offense or defense, this is the team that I want you to be on. I couldn't care less what your history is, who you hang out with on Mondays through Saturday. That's it. Like it's over, man. I'm tired of it, and I think that's what they're going to look at. Whoever's the best freaking player and available that we need at 7, we're going to take. If there's another guy that we think we can steal at 15 and somebody wants to trade back and we get more picks, do it. But it's no longer about this is a Callahan guy or this is a Carthon guy. We need to be looking at this is a guy that's going to help us raise a trophy for the first time in Nashville. And that's got to be the mindset for everyone on this team. And Levis being the leader is where all my confidence is coming from. And we'll see, but it's a good start what we're doing so far for sure.
Yeah, and you are right, Jarett. The Eagles are working on a deal with Justin Simmons. It's not official yet, but they're working on a deal. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we could throw up a clip of maybe one of our handsome selves who might have been on the news last night speaking as to why free agency is so fun and why it's so important.
We got something, Sammy? We got something for the fam? Oh.
Wow.
Is that Heather?
Reason to get excited for football season early.
Man, I could have done my hair in the reflection.
But the season started already for me today. Look ahead to more winning ways.
Nice.
Super Bowls are often won in the off season, and free agency and the draft is the start of it all. After free agency.
Wait, so all these people think you're a fucking Eagle fan?
No. So she didn't mention me as an Eagles fan at all. So I was at PJ Wheelahan's. It's a chain sports bar last night, and we saw cameras walking around. And then she came up. We saw her interviewing people, and she came up to me, and she said, "Are you an Eagles fan?" I said, "No, I'm a Titans fan." She goes, "Well, do you love the NFL?" I said, "I'm a big-time football nerd." And she said, "Do you mind if I interview you?" She goes, "I won't."
The podcast.
So yeah, she asked me a handful of questions, and she did bring up one of the questions. She goes, "You did say you were a Titans fan. Were you? I'm sure AJ Brown was, upsetting to you. But with the Eagles signing Saquon, I guess that means we won't take Derrick Henry." So, I'm glad in the interview they didn't paint. It might look like I'm a Eagles fan because it's in Philly, but she didn't paint me as an Eagles fan because the whole thing, I'm the only one who didn't really reference any of the signings and the clips she showed. All the other clips showed Eagles fans talking about, Saquon and Landon Dickerson, but she got me for the clip in the beginning and the end. So, wasn't a bad few days. Got married. It was on the news.
So yeah, you got married. You were on the news. I was in Disney. I was standing next to AJ Dillon in Magic Kingdom. I had no idea the guy's legs are this big, like unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't fanboy that at all. I didn't say anything. I just saw him like, oh my god, the guy's massive. So I know he's a free agent. So I would have plugged the Titans in there, but also walking to downtown Disney as the ring goes off again. You gotta love it while we're live. Walking through downtown Disney, I spotted and I took a picture of with Logan Ryan. I didn't want to fanboy. My wife pushed me. She
South Jersey's
South Jersey's finest.
He talked a lot of shit about the Titans after he left.
But he didn't, because when I said, hey, big fan, I'm a Titans fan. He grabbed my arm. He said, stop, you're a Titans fan? I said, yeah. He goes, Jersey had it happen. I explained everything. He goes, let me tell you something. 2019 was one of my favorite teams I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah, he's backtracking now because he knows he fucking shit on all of his Titans.
But
their fans don't give a shit. They don't even show up to games.
He said, obviously, the J-Rob and the Mike Vrabel situation, it started dragging everything. They got pissed off. I got his email. Hopefully, we have him on the show. He's more than willing to come on the show. So hopefully,
wait, he didn't like Vrabel either?
No, he did not like Vrabel.
Oh my God, what a shock! I can't believe it.
He said when they started signing
Vrabel. He's the best coach of all time.
When they took away that core that they had in 2019, and they brought in Jadeveon Clowney, and they started letting everybody else go, Wesley Woodyard, all that other stuff, all that nucleus that they had, it starts slowly going away.
And that was a long time ago.
Just to hear that as a fan's perspective, and me and him were shooting it for like 15 minutes. Great. Awesome dude. So hopefully we can have him on the show real soon.
Yeah, of course.
It was a great conversation.
He is a big time dog lover, and he saves a lot of dogs. So that removes any football related shit for me. So
he went to a rival high school of mine. He went to Eastern, which is a regional school for Voorhees, Gibbsboro, and Berlin people. I went to Cherry Hill East High, and we hated each other in high school. East and Eastern were big rivals. So his jerseys hanging up at a lot of bars around here. I'd love to get South Jersey's finest, Eastern Viking, Logan Ryan on the pod. That would be great.
East Brunswick's finest as well. Went down to Rutgers, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
So we do need to wrap up because your boys got to get to work. Unfortunately, appreciate all the comments of everyone that's watching right now. Hot show. Everyone who's watching on Twitter. I know there's a ton of hundreds of it. We appreciate it so much. If you enjoy what you watch, we would appreciate subs on YouTube. We're trying to give content for you guys each and every week throughout the offseason and regular season. But we appreciate all the positive feedback we've been getting. And we just, the more support we get, the more drive we're going to have to put on the best show possible for you guys. So any support you guys can give will be greatly appreciated. And that's about it, guys. So again, there was hundreds of you in here. Appreciate everyone who commented. Matt for calling in. And we'll definitely be back with you, if not later in the week. Possibly we might do an emergency show if anything crazy happens. We'll obviously keep you posted if that happens. But if not, we'll certainly be on next week to give you the best content we can. So hope everyone has a phenomenal rest of their week. And as always, guys, tighten up. Sammy, send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.